Previously on TN Tactical.
TN Tactical was trapped in a desolate future. The Orange Crush Nation had turned the world into an orange hellscape. Now on the move, TN Tactical was in search of a way back to his own timeline. With only light birdshot left, his Turkish shotgun was unreliable. TN Tactical could feel he was being watched.
Brent! Brent! Come to me, I hear you're having a problem. Yes, I have a solution for you, yes. Come! Come with me!
And so, he cautiously entered the creature's lair. It promised a powerful weapon, but at a great price.
Child, look into my eye deeply.
The creature was gone. In its place was a black box with advanced technology within. TN Tactical found himself in a strange new realm. Everything seemed familiar, but different. Orange crush mist hung in the air, threatening to choke him with every breath. This was no longer the dark future, but something far worse. A realm across space and time, filled with dark forces thirsting for flesh. He was in the orange side down. With only his PSA Jakl, TN Tactical traveled back to where it all began. The land was gnarled and twisted, and orange fog challenged his recce skills. He could feel a dark presence stalking him, watching his every move.
Hey there, you old boy. You look like you could use a hand.
We can cry when we're done killing.
What's up, guys? This is Jake with TN Tactical coming at you with a special gun review. This is one you've been waiting for. This is our first shots video of the Palmetto State Armory Jakl. Chambered in 5.56, this comes in at a 10.5-inch barrel. They are planning on doing other calibers in the future, such as 300 Blackout and maybe some others that we don't know about yet. And it is quite unique. This is something that's been in the works for a few years now. Coming in at $1,100, the Jakl may seem a little bit more expensive. However, we're going to talk about why this may be the best folding stock AR that you can currently acquire on the market. We are going to do our first shots. Going hot. I'm interested to see how this sounds coming out of a 10.5-inch barrel. We use proper C-clamp technique for this.
Tactical technique.
Safety's off. Are you ready?
Oh,
Lordy, let me get my chicken wing in. Here we go. First shots. 3, 2, 1.
Holy, that's loud. Since we don't want to do like the deep signs, let's make a non-standard unit of loud as hell. That's 2 loud as hells at least, if not 3.
It's going to be a very nice candidate for suppressor. We do have a suppressor coming in the future. When we do, I'm going to tell you right now, I will immediately put it on this, and that's where it will live for the rest of its life. Because she's a loud
lady.
With it being a piston system, you don't really have to worry about the gas blowing back on you. With your typical AR, you usually have what's called a gas impingement system. You guys know this, but for those that don't know, your bullet comes down through here to the barrel, and as it does, the air pressure builds up and escapes partially through the adjustable gas block, comes back through here through a gas tube, and actually pushes your entire bolt carrier group back so that it can properly cycle the rounds. Obviously, this is not that typical AR. One big draw about the Jakl is that it is a long stroke piston system. This is a bufferless AR platform. It does actually have a folding stock, and it is completely functional while the stock is folded. But it basically frees you up from having to have a buffer tube in there. It's a lot more compact. As a result of that, a lot more of the weight you're going to notice is up towards the front of the actual firearm. It's very close to the same weight as a typical AR. It just feels really heavy, especially near the front. What's up, guys? This is Jake at TN Tactical. We're gonna piss off all our neighbors with this loud ass 10.5-inch barrel AR. Tell you what, I kind of want to barely open up the cup of this and just hear.
Oh, you're gonna regret that, man.
So, starting like we always do, we're gonna start with just the tip. You get a standard A2 birdcage flash hider. Now this is pretty typical what you see as a stock option for most AR-15s. It does come with threading at 1.5 by 28, so you can easily swap that out for anything that you want, such as a muzzle brake or maybe a suppressor or something like that. This is a 10.5-inch barrel. Now you'll notice here you've got attached a metal rail with different MOE slots, both on the sides as well as the bottom. There are QD attachment points for slings right here, as well as back here, and then one more, they thought this well, back here. So you can run both single point and, what's it called? They're called double point. You can run both single point and 2-point attachment slings. Now, one unique thing about this particular setup, and one reason why it's a little bit more expensive, is that it does have a monolithic upper receiver, meaning all the way from the back to the very front here, it's one solid piece. The benefit of that is that you can actually place your optic anywhere on the rail without having to worry about bridging it with the handguard and upper receiver. On top of that, if you have something like a laser or infrared laser, anything like that that requires a 0, you can actually put it anywhere up here on the handguard. It will not actually affect the 0 of it over time. It should hold 0 by theory. Now this is a pricier process to make a monolithic upper like this, but that's where you see the difference between this particular AR-15 and Palmetto State's usual offerings. Compared to other third parties that do their own monolithic uppers, this particular option is still a significantly lower price than the others. Anyway, we'll fire some more shots. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Oh, wait, I gotta get the tacticalness of it.
I'm gonna get down here with my tactical.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready? Do you see my tacticalness?
I do.
Elbow to knee.
I'm witnessing
That is a tactical drill they teach you.
Actually, you know what? You're not wrong. I was kind of making fun, but they actually do teach you to do this. So
yes.
I'm gonna get what you're doing.
Are you ready?
Yeah, man.
Up at the very top here, we do have a SIG Romeo 5 red dot just for testing here. We might do a review of that one here soon. As we go further back, you'll notice there is no charging handle on the back. You have a side charging handle. Non-reciprocating, so that means, of course, that as you charge it back and the gun begins firing, it's not going to sit here like an AK and smash your fingers while you're holding the rail here. On top of that, the charging handle itself is ambidextrous, so if you don't like it on the left side, for you lefties out there, you can go ahead and move it to the right. Or if you're weird like my friend Michael, you can just have it on the right side anyways, even if you're right-handed. So moving on back, we do have this brass deflector that looks like it appears to actually be attached. It's not part of the upper receiver. And then you'll start seeing a lot of what appears to be extra rivets here, as well as one here that you can't quite see underneath this piece of metal. These are all very necessary, and we'll talk about in just a second here. Now, we do have the bolt release here. You'll notice that this is actually flush with the upper receiver of the Jakl. That means if you get like a custom mag release in here, such as the Maritime mag release that I see people get from CMMG, I think it's CMMG, somebody. If you get that Maritime mag release where it sits really wide, you won't be able to use it because of where this sits perfectly flush in the upper receiver. You'll see it actually comes out. It's a little bit of a thick boy here. Comes out a little bit and causes that to be flush with the body of it. It's a thick boy, and I like thick boys. I like it. Well, it seems to be pretty zeroed. You do have a slightly, ever so slightly flared mag well here, just so slightly. Of course, you got your Jakl logo here. On top of that, you do have just a straight flat trigger guard here. I kind of like that. And you also have just like your standard pistol grip that you get on every other AR-15. Very standard, very simple, very uncomfortable in my opinion. I think Palmetto State Armory decided to do that because they know that 99 times out of 100, people are going to usually swap that out immediately for their own preferred grip. Now you've got your standard safety selector there. It is 2-position, of course. You, of course, can swap this out for aftermarket if you want like one of the 45-degree turning ones, you can do that. And as far as triggers go, I will say that while I'm not planning on swapping this trigger out, keep in mind with the way the inside of this particular Jakl is set up, you'll only be able to use your standard AR-15 triggers reliably in this particular setup. So anything funky like forced reset or binary will probably not work in this. Other than this mag release here, you can still swap out the other parts for pretty much anything that would go in the regular lower AR-15 receiver. So moving on further to the back, you are going to notice we have a standard Picatinny rail in the very back. So you can actually unscrew this entire pistol brace with this particular screw and an Allen wrench right here. And you can put on any other brace that you want. So if you want something like a SP tactical brace, or maybe try to fit like a PDW system on this, you can do it. This back here is rubber. The brace here is very rubbery. You'll see it's very bendy. There's nothing metal in there, but there is metal up here. As far as I can tell, it does bend a little bit, so that might just be plastic or just like a thin metal rod. I'm not quite sure, but it does have a lot more stability and a lot stiffer to the bottom part. This will actually fit on any standard AR-15 lower. The trigger they give you is actually quite nice. I have to say, I have to hand to Palmetto State. This is their polished AR trigger, and there's not, you know what? We're just gonna have to do our simulated trigger pull, aren't we? So we are still unloaded here. We've got our trigger pull here, all right? As soon as you start pulling, it clicks right there for you. So reset. Just a little bit, 3 millimeters maybe, 4, and it immediately clicks back to about 5 millimeters. You can immediately start pulling the trigger again. You feel all 4 pounds there, and you see there's almost no follow through. It's a very, very short reset. It's a very short follow through. So reset again, and pull. So if you go through all the way, if you let go of it, you'll see there's no additional pull to it. You immediately start pulling and your feeling is really stiff. It's such a short pull. I mean, it's nice. I'm actually gonna probably keep this trigger in here. You guys know I'm a trigger snob, but I have to say that this particular trigger, it passes the snob test. I like it. I really like the trigger a lot. Would you like to try this one?
No, I never want to try new firearms. Yeah, let's see about it.
It's all yours. I see you are using proper bracing techniques.
Oh yes. Yep, so you can see I've got the elastic around the bottom part, splits in half. Ooh, nice little stability increase there. Guys, I wanted to model that for you and let you know what that looks like. There we go. I like this thing, man. That's a sweet shooting little item. For the price, yeah, I would totally do that. I'm actually in the market for one of these myself. You guys don't know that, but yeah, I need to get one of these. Got a new baby daughter and all, so yeah. I'm afraid if I do this, ow.
Now, I told you that this functions both unfolded and folded. We're gonna go ahead and do that now. We're definitely gonna have to do a top 5 upgrades video for this particular Jakl. If you wanna see that video, again, make sure to subscribe because we're gonna be doing a lot with this. You ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go. I like it. I will say this. The hand guard, which is metal down here,
Starting to get warm.
it's getting extremely warm, friends. So, oh man. Yeah, it's almost unbearable. So let's get right into the part that I know you guys are waiting for, and let's look inside and see what we got. Right here, it looks just the same. The lower itself is actually the same, but you'll see we've actually got a plug right here that just fits in there. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't move. It doesn't have a spring in there or anything. It's fixed in place. And that's just basically where these metal sides come attached as well. So that's also very unique. You'll see that these metal sides actually overlap on top.
Rivets.
Those rivets, screws, whatever you want to call that. You'll see this here. And this is just a solid piece of metal and seals that in. Normally your charging handle would be right here. You'll notice it's very similar to like an AK-47. So it's got that long stroke there, just like Daddy likes.
Giggity.
Yeah, we may talk about the benefits of long stroke versus short stroke and his pleasure and her pleasure in the future. Now I would call this the bulk carrier group, but it's not really a bulk carrier group like you see in your typical AR. It does have some similar parts to it here, such as this looking kind of familiar. And it's got that movement there as well for cycling and whatnot. So it is kind of similar in some ways. You'll see you've got a tiny little pin here, and you'll actually pull that pin out because right here is the firing pin. I can't really pull this out right now on the spot. I'm going to do a future video where I fully break down and show how to clean this, but your firing pin is right there, and you'll have to actually pull this pin out to get that firing pin out. And it does look like your standard AR-15 firing pin. So you see you've got this long piston here, and this whole thing is just solid metal, save for this one moving part here. The rest of it is just one solid piece. If you look down in that hole there, it's just, I mean, that's where the spring goes. It all sits down in there. This is my high-tech virtual simulation of the inside of the Jakl here. Make sure you keep this part really nice and oiled and lubed up. Obviously, with this being our first shots, we haven't oiled anything. That's not what we do on this channel. We like to run it raw every time, the first time. So you'll see it's a little bit of a different setup than your typical AR-15. With this particular long stroke system, gas comes down into the adjustable gas block. So this comes back right back here and will actually strike and stop at this rear plate right here, which is why you see this marking right here. And there's a little bit of a marking right there as well, where it started to strike on the back of this. Do a function check, and we're good. First time I did this, I didn't have it seated properly and the handle did not function properly. So make sure you check that out. Okay, so the PSA Jakl, our initial thoughts after putting about 150 rounds through this, we had 0 flaws, 0 issues whatsoever, and it performed awesome. Very accurate, just as accurate as any other 10.5-inch AR. While it is a little bit heavy in the front, I think it kind of compensates for that because it provides a little bit extra recoil stabilization than you otherwise wouldn't have. Now, with it being $1,100, it is a little bit more expensive than your typical PSA offerings, but I do think it's well worth it, especially when you consider the fact that you have a folding stock and a monolithic upper receiver. So finding both of those things in a single option like this is kind of rare and hard to find, especially at this price point. Other gun manufacturers are starting to come out with their own version of buffer tubeless ARs that have a folding stock, but none of them are currently priced that PSA has on the Jakl. So I'm really excited to do some follow-up videos with this. We're going to definitely put more rounds through it. We're going to do some upgrades to it and do a top 5 video probably of the best upgrades you can get for this.
As one does.
As one does. And we're going to definitely give you a follow-up review that's more concise after putting several more 100 rounds through it, because I really think that this one is absolutely worth it. Guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Did you pick up a Jakl? I'd love to hear from you. We will see you next time.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Now, honey, what has happened here?
I may have put some slight markings into this.
Are you sure that was frangible ammo there, old boy?
We may have had some other ammo mixed in
I
there.
believe we may have had some other ammo mixed in there.
Well,